new information to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. Rex Bear Leak Project. I hope your day is going fantastic. We have David Sarita with us again. Check
Sorry
out
for
the
the background
website
noise, by the way.
davidsarita.co for excellent frequency generators that put together different harmonizing frequencies. Absolutely incredible. But we're going to get into this. So, did you know that Mars started making its closest approach? I'm sorry, 3i Atlas started making its closest approach to Mars about October 1st.
Oh, this
And
was
that's
streamed
when
11
everything got
hours ago,
shut
so
down. They shut down the
pretty
high
recent.
rise satellite system. We have no new images from there, as well as the Mars rover picked up some real faint images. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to talk about the latest information today. David has it put together for us. And David, it is great to see you. How's it going out there in British Columbia?
Well, good. I've been doing a lot of firewood collecting, running chainsaws, which is, I got to do my weights to get my arm strong to hold these big saws. And
Nice.
I meditate every single day, which I've done my whole life. And, with the aging process and doing frequency work, very tuned frequency work, I do a deep breathing meditation every morning, every 2 months for 30 days. I do like a deep breath work for about 45 minutes on myself. And
Let me advance a little bit
so
too.
you start to really feel younger than I am. And he doesn't have the experience I have with cameras and optics. So let me show you now, because I'm going to stop share. I'm going to show you what cameras actually really do. And it's called the grayscale. So we look at grayscale camera, grayscale images, grayscale camera chart. I'm not getting what I want. Okay, this again, knowing the grayscale, if I look at this image, and I'm going to bring his image in, I'm going to screen grab this and bring it into Photoshop.
By the way, let me stop this real quick. A lot of people were freaking out when they first saw this picture. Because the first thing that came to their minds was, oh my God, TikTok shaped UFOs all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's actually a picture taken from Mars rover, if I'm not mistaken. And the way the why this looks like this is because of long exposure. If you don't know what this is, it's basically long exposure is the camera is having its shutter open for a little bit of time. It could be, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, a minute, whatever. Enough so that there is a lot of light coming in order to take a good high quality resolution picture. And if you overlay these pictures on top of each other, at the end you get something like this. So because things are moving, the planet is moving, everything is basically moving. The long exposure at the end puts the image together, and you get this. So it looks like tic-tac shaped, objects, but in fact it's just a long exposure. Why this one here is not doesn't have the same shape is because the camera was focusing on 3i Atlas. Anything that is not in focus by the camera looks like a tic-tac shaped object. But again, this is because of long exposures.
Right now, and kind of explain to you. So when you see these streaking objects, it's tracking the motion of 3i Atlas. And because 3i Atlas is going 130,000 miles an hour, in the time of the shutter speed, the stars in the background
Exactly
streak, right? So that's why you're seeing that. So now let me get rid of this page, and I'll show you, because of this image, he stacked the images. Now you cannot stack images on a body that we know is rotating. 3i Atlas is rotating. It's not rotating very fast. It has a recorded orbital axial rotation of 969 minutes, which is the age of the prophet Methuselah, which is the message, right? So that's one of my messages that I decoded. But if I take this geometric crystal, this is a great example, and it's highly lit in space against an apparent black background with stars, and you see my light, if it moves just a tiny bit, you see how that reflection on the light in the center of my crystal, it moves. You see how that reflection is moving? It only has to move a tiny, tiny bit, depending on how many geometries and structures 3i Atlas is made out of, for those little light changes to glint and produce. Remember, see how bright the light is coming from my webcam light on the surface of this crystal. The camera will dial itself down in automatic mode and make the surrounding not as bright areas really dark or black. And that's what is happening with these images. So I'm going to go into my Photoshop, and I'm going to show you his image. Okay. And now you have a better understanding of how these cameras are working. You're going to see there's a lot of data there. There's a lot of data there. There's my Photoshop. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to go into Photoshop, and I'm going to bring this image. This is his image that is stacked. And I'm going to show you a non-stacked, go back to the non-stacked versus the stacked.
Can you zoom that in a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. View, fit on screen, and then we're going to keep zooming in and keep zooming in. And when you see the squares, we're starting to get into pixels, but it's not really like you think. Remember, these pixels will be somewhere in our grayscale. And remember, 3i Atlas has its own light, which makes this even more complex. It makes it more complex because you see
okay, what the hell is going on with that light on 3i Atlas? I know that, gases can emit light, but how is it that 3i Atlas, a huge comet, is supposed to be just a rock, is emitting light?
All these soft structures back here surrounding the nucleus, it's probably not reflected light so much on 3i Atlas as its own light. But its own light is reflecting off these geometries that extend actually way out here. It has no cometary tail. But because he stacked these images, let me show you what that would look like. And I have that here somewhere. I just got to go to. These are the video frames. This is what it would start to look like. So if we
you can see the rotation of
our initial
right
image here, so let me take this and view, fit on screen, and I come
yeah. Yeah. When people saw this image, people started to freak out because if you look at this thing, it's like it has it just looks like a weird shaped object. Nothing that resembles a rock or a comet, right?
You see this image here, which we looked at last week, right? Oh my God. I'm trying to move this guy. Deselect. I'm trying to move it. Anyway, this image here.
That is weird.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know what it's doing here. Oh, there we go. So we've never seen anything like this, first of all. This is an actual frame. And it's, remember, understanding grayscale, this image gets really challenging to look at because you see what appears to be foggy, right, in these pixels. That's your grayscale at work. That means there's something here.
Mm-hmm.
But this image is so far away at 0.95 astronomical units. And I've checked this with Richard Hoagland, who was really one of my greatest mentors. And there's no question we should not be seeing geometry on an image that far away. So if I was on Mars, if I was in space looking back at Mars at 0.195 astronomical units, I should be seeing shape and form, but I shouldn't be seeing geometry this refined. No, I shouldn't, unless 3i Atlas is a what I would call a megastructure. And let me give you an example, because I used a
Which, by the way, as per Avi Loeb, this thing is actually huge. Okay, let me tell you. No, actually, let me search how big this thing is, because I can't recall the size of it. But how big is 3 Atlas? So the size of the interstellar comet 3I Atlas is uncertain. Well, we know it's huge, but recent estimates based on its brightness and mass loss suggest a nucleus diameter ranging from approximately 5.6 kilometers, which is equal to 3.5 miles, up to possibly 46 kilometers or 28.6 miles. Initial size estimates were likely incorrect, and observations suggest it's much, it's much larger than previous interstellar objects, like whatever this means. So maximum estimated size, the maximum diameter is about 46 kilometers, 28.6 miles, based on its brightness. The initial estimate of Avi Loeb was this thing was about the size of, I can't remember the name of the state. He named this state. If you know, let me know. But this thing is huge, like it's humongous. All right, and as per Avi Loeb, it's impossible that this thing, like if it's natural. The question is how did this thing got so much rock material to be, to become like this? Because there is not enough rock material in the universe, apparently, as per Avi Loeb, his quotes, not mine, to create an object of this size. So it just makes you scratch your head. Like previous estimates, initial estimates were much larger, up to 20 kilometers, 12 miles, but have been revised downwards. But now this thing appears to be about 46 kilometers or 28.6 miles in size. I mean, come on. Something really strange going.
AI to create a megastructure. And when I say megastructure, I mean something super. Hang on a second. I'm gonna have to. I don't know why it's not letting me open this. Just let me try and. Here it is. It's letting me open it. I'm just giving my computer screen a minute to load this. Okay, so here's my megastructure that is kind of like this. And by megastructure, this structure could be holographic, because according to Hoagland, you see what I'm looking at here?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a megastructure, which could be, again, in the core of 3I Atlas, you can have an actual megastructure with its own light source projector, projecting the geometries against the frozen ice crystals in the surrounding environment. And this is probably closer, not exactly, but it gives you an idea of what 3I Atlas probably is doing to create. Go back to my Photoshop now. What we're actually seeing in the data. And remember, we didn't get the Mars high-rise images, which would be so much better. But what we have is actually pretty good. So when we go back to Photoshop.
And again, we don't have Mars high-res images because, well, the government decided to shut down NASA down. The government decided to shut NASA down right at the point where 3I Atlas was in the near distance of Mars reconnaissance. Yeah, so scratch your head with this.
Because I'm going to show you a bunch of other stuff. Because Loeb seems to be responding to. Okay, so let's go back to this. And your mind has to really just look at the data. I love what Boyd Bushman at Lockheed Martin taught me. Follow the data, theory be damned. Don't develop a theory until you've looked at all your data. And this is only one frame. And then another frame, that's the stacked image. So the problem with stacking on a rotating geometry, because it's glinting in its inner light source and receiving reflective light on its surfaces from the sun, is you cannot rotate stack images on something like that, because only the core, so let's say my square here, which, you know, looking at all the data here, could extend into a rectangle off here in this way, because I have illuminated pixels on all of these bands, and these bands are essentially all rectangles, even though my center looks like a square. If I rotate this, and I rotate it, let me go, you're going to look at that image too, which is my friend Erica's image. Let's see. Then if I rotate this and I rotate it, it's going to turn into a snowball effect. And the snowball effect is what this is. This is what Loeb released. And this is...
Okay, let me just pause this for a moment. Don't focus on the brightest light. Focus on what's around it. Okay, this structure right here. It's supposed to be like David is saying. This thing is supposed to be a mega structure. Okay, and it's supposed to be the structure of the entire object. But man, if I look at this, like my mind obviously is playing tricks on me, because if I look at this thing has some very weird shape. Nothing that resembles a rock at all. Like nothing. Okay. It almost looks like, you know, I dare to say, like horns, right here, like horns, or I don't know if you want to call it like tentacles, something like that. Even here, like this area right here, see some sort of a structure or tentacles again here as well. I mean, it's just weird. You know, we could just be freaking out all over the place with 3i Atlas, and at the end it's just a huge rock. But I mean, if that's the case, why haven't we seen the images yet? Why haven't we seen that? I think, in my opinion, the government shut down NASA at the moment where this thing was flying by Mars reconnaissance, because they knew, or they know, something they don't want to tell us. And it wouldn't be the first time, to be honest. It wouldn't be the first time that the government shuts down an agency to prevent, you know, this type of information to be released to the public. But man, then again, I just want to say, okay, so, you know, I think by now everybody knows. I mean, of course, and I respect everybody's opinion, to be honest. But my opinion, I am very open-minded. You guys know that. If you've been watching my videos, I mentioned this every single time. I'm very open-minded. I believe in aliens, but I'm not a fool. I'm not stupid either. Like, I have eyes. Okay, I know when things are being faked. In fact, let me say that I somehow have a love and hate relationship with the current era we're living in, because on one hand, you have legitimate alien slash UFO slash UAP evidence, pictures, videos, whatever it is. And then on the other hand, you have people faking the shit out of things. You know, AI has become a thing. You fake. Don't get me wrong, I love AI. I mean, I use it daily. I use it in my daily work as being a computer science engineer. But it's being used to fake things. And at some point, I understand why, you know, people, they want to get the attention, want to be famous, whatever. Okay. But it's becoming a problem, and a huge problem, because every single time I go on X and I see real UFO caught on camera, and it just turns out to be a fucking AI video, you know, generated. And so I have this kind of like love-hate relationship with AI. But anyways, huge digression, huge tangent. Let's get back to the point here of this thing looking very strange.
Is again stacked. So we lost our outer bands in the stacking because there's over 400 images in the GIF. Then all of this would smear, and that's exactly what it looks like to me, right? We still have a rectangular core. That doesn't mean it's a solid rectangle at all. But overall, my pixels, it is a rectangle, but it could also be cylindrical. It's not very hard to determine what the structure of this is, but it's a little bit difficult because look at these foggy kind of rings here. Like this is like a U shape here. If you really train your eyes and you look at all this data out here, this could be mega structuring. But
Did I not just
also
said
they
that?
stack the images, and then by stacking them, the brightest pixels here, where our geometry was here. Like look at this image. This is another frame. So I'm going to go bit on screen and zoom in on this frame. You see, remember this frame and this frame.
I gotta laugh for a moment because if you guys are following this and you have been on social media, X, Instagram, whatever, a couple of days ago they actually showed, maybe it could have been two days ago that I saw this image. I saw this image and the first thing that came to my mind was the huge logo of History Channel's Age. I mean, don't tell me like this thing looks like an H, right? I had to laugh when I saw this. Like the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, this thing looks like History Channel's logo. What the fuck?
Has a different glint of geometry that does have a rectangle in its core with these long cylindrical kind of structures. Remember, this is really bright. So why is the rest of it dark? Because the camera's latitude, and this is where digital cameras really suck compared to film, is in its grayscale, it has to pick one or the other. If it overexposes, so I can take this image and go adjust brightness, contrast. I can adjust my brightness, right? And I'm going to lose my structure. But you notice how these other objects start appearing around it? This is what Erica Joannis discovered, and I'm going to go to her images in a minute. That's data in the pixels. And these are structures in and around 3i Atlas. Now, if I dial down, I come back to this, and I come all the way down, I'm left with this glint that was captured during the duration of 3i Atlas. Adjust my contrast and my brightness. You see, now that's structure. That's not our imagination. And when we brighten this, I'm lowering the contrast. And when I was, in the darkroom years ago, because I've got thousands of hours in darkroom and black and white photography, using so many different negative developers, and some of my favorite were the low contrast because the human eye is actually very low contrast, believe it or not. Which means if I look right now at shadows and black areas, I can see phenomenal detail with my eyes in the shadows. The digital camera has to pick either an average between the brightness and the darkness or one or the other. Can't get it all the way the human eye does. And that's why doing this adjusting, all of this is data. So I'm going to go to Erica Joannis in Connecticut, who sent me this, and she noticed all these other structures are in a straight line, which means these are not stars in the background, people. These are not stars in the background. Are you seeing this, Rex?
So this is interesting that he's mentioning this is in a straight line because um there was like, oh my god, what's his name? There was a guy. Let me, in fact, Casper Side did a video on it. Let me go ahead and search it for a moment. Okay,
Is data.
stay with me for a moment. He did a video on it from a guy that was live streaming on YouTube. Or was it YouTube? I think it was YouTube. Yeah, this one.
Desert Rider 20.
He was live streaming on YouTube, and yeah, exactly. AZ Desert Rider 26. So this guy has some sort of a radio telescope or radio signal capture. I don't know how you call it. And he is monitoring what 3i Atlas is doing. Don't ask me how. I don't know. I haven't followed this guy yet. But what was interesting in the radio spectrum here is, or in the frequency spectrum, is that the structure of the Atlas seems to be a one huge kind of line. And then around that line, so if you look at this right here, oh, am I not showing this? Yeah, are you seeing this, guys? Yeah, you are. Okay, sorry. So this line right here is supposed to be the Atlas. And then around this line, there are some very strange structures, almost looking like a fleet. All right. Let me see if I can search the exact moment. Is it here?
Imagine this is sort of some sort of like sound on. This is what it sounds like. And up here, I think
Right
that is just
here.
a.
Maybe.
This is the live stream. What you're seeing here now is, from what I can guess, because I'm no expert, right? This is obviously the space.
Shout
Now,
out to Casper
these are
Side.
potentially
Go subscribe to
either
his
like,
channel.
Asteroids, meteors, space debris, space junk, things like that pop up. Okay, and they are echoes. If you see it in a long line, it's an echo of it, right? Almost like a
Right, so basically you shoot a frequency, or yeah, it's like a radio frequency that you're shooting at an object, and that frequency reflects back. And it basically shows you a structure of how that thing looks like, right?
radar. So, down here is the sound waves. So when you're listening to space and listening to the area, when something happens, sometimes you see these peaks come up right here. Okay, and this dude looks into
I'm
stuff.
trying to find.
What he's seen is, in his mind, breaking news and needs to be shouted about. So, for entertainment purposes, I'm going to support this guy and say, okay, what have you got, mate? I'm going to spread it for you. Because for what I've seen so far, what he's seen is absolutely crazy. Okay? He has basically claimed, but in fact, just listen to it, right? Listen to this. This is his recent, and I'm going to go back and forth with his channel because there's some like information there which I think will paint a good picture for you to understand the severity or the magnitude of what we're seeing here. Okay? Listen to this part first. This is where he's showing a little bit of frustration because he feels like he's being shadow banned.
All right, everyone. So they shut me down. They shut me down for 7 days. So
Apparently, just to give you a little bit of context, this guy here, he was streaming this on YouTube, and then suddenly YouTube cuts his live stream off, and he gets shadow banned. You don't know what shadow ban is. It's basically your channel is locked. You can't do anything. You cannot upload. It's non-existent at that point in time, and he got shadow banned during his live stream. And he doesn't know why. He has reached out to YouTube, and YouTube is just silence. As always, YouTube is YouTube. You gotta love it. Nice platform, but hey. And so he moved to a different platform. I think he moved even to TikTok because he wanted to continue to live stream this, but YouTube wasn't allowing him to do. Now, of course, you have Twitch, you have other platforms, but TikTok is the second most watched platform in the whole world.
Yeah, I can't live stream. I got to start a new account. I'm going to go start AZ Desert Rider 27. Please go follow. Get it up to 1,000 followers so I can go live again, or 1,000 likes. I will start posting videos. They are going to shadow ban it. They are going to make it hard for you to find this account. This is the only way I can keep the live stream going for the next 7 days till they unblock the account, because they're not going to unblock it. They already didn't overturn the appeal. They're going to keep me silent for 7 days. This is because I tell the truth.
Right, so with this thing still going off, right, in real time, well, 400% speed, and what he's saying here now, he's basically saying there is a huge fleet of ships. Now, listen to this. This
okay, so here's where it gets
way,
interesting, guys.
that you're
Pay
seeing
attention.
is an hour and a half.
And the reason I am showing this is because of what David just mentioned right here in this image. And we'll get back to that.
And I stopped it because I was like, I ain't recording any more than an hour and a half of this. All right? Now, let's get into the nitty gritty. Part 1.
Like I said, you'd see the interference, and then a big one would come in, and here it comes. I said it before I got off my live stream on YouTube. I called it, and here it comes in. I told you this.
Like, listen to the sound. I mean, the sound that
I
you're
told
listening
you.
is the echo
I called it before I got off my
from
YouTube.
from the radio frequency, from this object.
Guys, this is not Mother Nature. This is something else.
So look at the
This does
line.
not make any noise.
It's
Because that's interesting what he said there. He says this is not making any noise. Because what I've seen so far, when sometimes you see like a circular dot, maybe about that big, and it's this color. That would be like a meteor, which he later on
Right
he
here.
shows you in a different video. I'll probably find for you. But when you see that, it just goes boing, or whatever the sound is, right? It just goes boing, or something. It makes some weird sound. This is not making a single thing. That natural sort of like ambient sound is just literally, well, what it is, ambient sound. But it gets more interesting. I know that you've got a bunch of questions, but also these are not necessarily just stars. Sometimes you get like a flux of like heavy white dots and stuff. That can also be it's like almost like wind of some sort, interference. It's not necessarily just stars that you're seeing. It's just basically just interference. Almost like when you're trying to tune in on a television station, like back in the day. Yeah.
But you're
Didn't it feel so good when you just got it right and it was a crystal clear screen?
I remember.
Anyway.
See? Holy cow. Hold on a second.
Right, okay. So
Okay,
Let me
wait. Okay, all right. So what you're seeing on the screen, I think Casper site makes it an awesome. He explains it very good. Anyways, I'll let him explain that. But just real quick, I want you to focus on this area right here. Okay.
just show you something else what he put together. The question I'm sure some of you are asking is, why is this a ship then? Right? Explain to me why you're saying this is a ship. Here we go. So back before this thing went, this is still going on, by the way, right? This is still going on at 400% speed.
So you're aware, this is what a normal meteor signature looks like, normal operation. That's what a normal meteor looks like coming in. This is normal operation of this whole site, okay? Don't mind the reflections from the windows, okay? This is normal operation. There's no white static. There's no horizontal lines. None of the anomalies or shapes that we see come in until you get white static and horizontal lines. Then you will start to see objects, communication, or other things possible. But so you're all aware, this is normal operation. This is what it usually looks like compared to the videos that I'm showing you the anomalies in, so that you're all aware. Okay? This is the website. You guys are coming here asking me 1,000 times.
Now, let me try and find you what he thinks a spaceship looks like.
So this is a ship, okay? And the reason I'm saying this is a ship, listen to me very closely. When this thing throws out a radio signal, it's looking to get an echo from that radio signal, okay? In order for an echo to return, there has to be structure there, okay? There has to be structure there to get an image so that it can give you this image to begin with. If it wasn't the case, then you wouldn't have a scale here to see your density. You get it? So, this is a ship, okay? This left one is yellow. This one was probably yellow. They're probably cooling down. They shut them off, and this is probably the center of the ship where they are. So there's going to be a heat signature there. People, you don't understand. Like, there's no way that meteors should be doing this. They shouldn't be making this structure if there's nothing there to echo from. It should just be a single straight line coming in. Anything that's creating an echo and showing an image of something off the sides of these things, they have to be structure there. There has to be something there for the echo to echo off of.
So, isn't that interesting, guys? Like, I mean, it's just everything just kind of like falls into place, doesn't it? David's saying that this right here, well, it's just one single line, but look how it looks. It's part of the structure. Even the image we saw earlier, or was it here? Right, this one, it's some sort of a structure. And then we have AZ Desert 27/26/27 saying, you know, what he's capturing looks like a ship. Now, guys, listen. Let me make this clear. I know there are people out there that, you know, really wants to believe this thing is, you know, alien. And they go, you know, I don't know, a huge extent to prove it is. I don't know. But the facts are the facts. Data doesn't lie. Whether the data is correct or not, well, that's subject to, you know, whatever you want to believe. I just find it odd that everybody who's talking about Three-Eye Atlas individually, not knowing each other, comes to the same conclusion. All right? Let me know what you guys think. It's just weird.
Is taken from.
So let's go back to this
It
video.
doesn't look like that. So what are all these objects in a straight line around Atlas that were captured?
Listen closely. Around Atlas, if you take a look at Casper's side video, let me see if I can go back, because there was right here. Well, it is not as prominent. Let me see. Right here. This is supposed to be reflected from Atlas, if I'm not mistaken. But then look what's around it. Like, look at all these dots. It's just, if you look them from a different perspective, it very much resembles what we see here. I mean, I'm just saying.
On the CCD camera. This is incredible. So that means we've got a problem.
We do have a problem. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, this video is very long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's kind of late now. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream off here and continue the second part tomorrow. So sorry for that abrupt cut, but I don't want my videos to be, that long. And I'm sorry, I'm still trying to, figuring out. So I apologize that I'm all over the place with this stream. But hey, this is how live stream goes. I'm still learning the stuff. I'm new to this. This is my very first live stream, so apologize if I'm all over the place. But again, this is how usually live streaming goes when you're talking about a specific topic. So you're jumping from one video to another because you wanna make a point. Anyways, I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for watching. Even if we just have two viewers, hey, that's enough for me. Thank you so much for being part of this live stream. Appreciate you guys. And if if this is something you guys enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe, follow for more, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and, well, bye-bye.